Why does content marketing matter for a local business, for a marketing agency, really for any business? It's all very much the same. But number one, content builds deeper relationships. Everyone watching this or listening to this right now, you have something to sell, but that is not the only thing that people care about when it comes to your product or service or who they decide to work with. It's about so much more than that. And we really want to have a deeper, more trusted relationship with our audience, because the people that do feel that way about you and your business, those are the people who are going to buy, that are going to be repeat buyers, that will be long-term buyers. So content can really just deepen that relationship with buyers who aren't currently buying from you and will be, or the people who already are, but they're just going to be around for a lot longer. So one of my favorite things about content is that you can use it to segment your audience. What that really means is, how do we break people into buckets depending on what product or service they might be interested in? Maybe it's what type of person they are, which could indicate their core motivations for buying from you. Maybe it even dictates which offers might be appropriate for them. So that's a really important thing to do if you have not started doing that. Segmenting your audience into groups so that you're not just speaking to everyone in the exact same way. You're really speaking to them on as close to a one-on-one basis as you possibly can when it comes to marketing. So again, it's going to identify those topics or offers that maybe you need to be promoting to certain people based on their interest. So I'll give you an example. One of the students that just enrolls in my mentorship program, we did our one-on-one consultation earlier today, and he trains children on their skills for soccer. So he doesn't have soccer teams. He's really about skills improvement, teaching kids to be really great at soccer. So even though everybody that's going to work with him or buy from them, they are a parent who has a child who obviously is either already in soccer or wants to get into soccer, there are different types of people within that audience. So one group that he really wants to focus on growing is girls. He wants to enroll more girls into their training coaching programs for soccer. It's very much predominated by guys at this moment. And there are a lot of girls that play soccer, so they're out there. But that is one segment of his audience and one that he wants to actively grow. So content to really showcase that that's something he's interested in building, to also help identify who those parents are that maybe have a daughter that is interested in getting involved in soccer. That's going to be very different than the content he's going to put out for maybe guys who are already in very competitive soccer programs and are looking to get a scholarship for soccer in college. Two very different segments. So it's also going to help connect with your prospects at the very early stages. So the ad strategy that I use, that I teach to my students, this is what we call level one. So level one is really where you focus on content. It's the top of the funnel for all of the reasons that we're talking about right now. So again, going back to that soccer coaching or soccer training example, if I was looking to connect with prospects at an early stage in that business, I might be talking to parents whose children are younger than 6 years old, because 6 is kind of that introductory age group that's getting involved with working with his business. And I might be talking to parents of toddlers about how to improve their child's hand-eye coordination or their motor skills. I might even be talking about why it's so important to introduce new sports to your child at an early age, because it allows them to progress a lot faster. And if they've got an interest in it, they're going to get a lot better, a lot faster if they start at a young age. So these could be parents that their child can't even enroll with his business just yet. However, talking to them at those early stages just means that they're already thinking about it, that this is something he's actually planting the seed of desire in the minds of these parents. So when their child turns 6, they already know this is something they want to do, and they already know who they want to work with for this. So this is also going to lower lead cost. This is for the exact same reasons I've been sharing. So if we have a stronger relationship with our audience, with our community, if we've really segmented them based on what they're interested in, maybe that's product and service again, or maybe that's just the motivations behind why they would want to work with you, we are going to be able to cultivate a group of people who already have trust and that we are speaking to more directly in a way that relates to what they need and what they want and their desires or that ideal outcome. When you do that, you're going to find that your marketing is a lot more effective. So when you are putting out your level 2 ads, which are really focused on offers and trying to get conversions, whether that's purchases or leads or appointments or phone calls, all of those things, it's going to improve those costs, which means lower cost, higher return on the dollars that you put in. The trust and the credibility, we've already talked about that, but essentially any business, if you are taking the time to put out relevant content that actually matters to your audience, they're automatically going to start seeing you as an expert in your industry, whatever that industry may be. They're going to see you as a trusted source of information that will absolutely improve their lifetime value if they are a customer, or maybe even the referrals that you receive. It could be from people who've never even worked with you, but they see the content you're putting out, so they know you're a trusted source of information about this product or service. The customer loyalty, again, we've talked about that. It's going to go up, and the ad results. So this is a very, very big part of your marketing as a whole, yet too few businesses are really doing this effectively. So again, this is going to be a process where over the next 5 days, I'm going to walk you through these individual steps, actions, or kind of themes per day. I want you to listen, but more than anything, I want you to take action, because if you don't take action, then it will almost be a waste of your time. You'll be a lot more enlightened and educated on these topics, but if you don't actually put them into practice, implement them, you will not be any farther along than you are today. And if you are watching or listening today, you obviously had a reason that you wanted to do that. So I want to make sure that you make the most of your time. The way to make the most of your time is not just to show up, but it's also to do the homework, to do the things we're talking about, so that you can free yourself from the stress and the confusion, and really just spending a lot of extra time creating content that's either not the right content, or it's content that maybe is working well and you never utilize it again. So you're just missing out on opportunities. So again, just really want to encourage you. Take action. Don't let this be one more thing that you're consuming and not really putting into practice. So this is the agenda for the week. Today, content strategy. Tomorrow, content topics that sell. We're going to be putting together really a system that will help you create an endless amount of content topics very, very fast, topics that are going to connect with your audience at those different stages and really allow your core marketing goals to be achieved. Big reason people don't create content is because they don't know what to talk about. They don't know the topics. They don't know who they're speaking to. So that's really what we're going to be covering tomorrow. Creating an actual content plan and a schedule and figuring out how you're going to get this done, when you're going to do it, what you're going to focus on any given day. That's a system we're going to cover on day 3. Day 4 is actually going to be systemizing the creation of that content, whether it's video content, blog content, social media posts. It could even be podcasts. Doesn't matter what the format is. We're going to create a system that will allow you to either do it a lot faster and more efficiently and better, or delegate that to someone else and know that they have steps to follow so that they're not in the dark about what it is they need to be doing or what it is you're looking for. Day 5, definitely the most important, but again, all of these go together. This is monetize and analyze. So how are you going to take this content and actually turn it into something that's producing revenue for your business? That's probably the biggest disconnect. Even the people that are creating great content, they're not seeing it translate into revenue, or they have no idea which pieces of content are helping them, which pieces they never really had to create because it wasn't making an impact. So that is something that's going to tie this all together and help show you that the end result of content turning into actual cash flow and revenue for your business, it is possible. So when we think about a content marketing strategy, these are really the things that we need to be talking about. So the first one is content related to your goals. In order to have that, you really need to know what your goals are. So going back again to the soccer coaching example, if one of his goals was to grow the female enrollment in his business, that's a goal. If it was to increase the number of children in the 6 to 10-year-old age group, because those kids do tend to progress faster and stay with his business longer, that is another goal. So I really want you to get clear on what are your goals. It's not related to your content, it's related to your goals as a business owner. Where are your best opportunities? What is your lowest hanging fruit? What are the market segments or those buyer personas that are really comprising the largest part of your revenue? So you need to take a serious look at that. And that starts by just analyzing your business data. When you know what those goals are, it's going to be a lot easier for us tomorrow to create those topics that are going to align with those goals, and then, create that content, schedule that content, and then profit from that content. You also need to know the offers that you need to sell. So this goes back to knowing your goals. If his goals are to increase female enrollment, if it's to increase the 6 to 10-year-old age range enrollment, he's going to have offers that are related to those specific avatars in place. So again, you need to know what your offers are, because if you don't, it's going to be very difficult to actually create content that will be in line with them, that will flow seamlessly into them. The avatars you want to connect with, same exact thing we just talked about. Knowing what your goals are will really help you understand who those avatars are. If you are just getting started and you don't know who that person is, that it's going to be your best potential buyer, you really need to do some research on that, because content is not just about where somebody wants to spend their money. It's really about their needs and their desires and what information they're craving related to your product and service. But every product and service has a variety of buyers, and those people are not all going to want or need the exact same thing. So you might have content that is for everybody, but you definitely want to have more content and more specific content that is targeted towards the people who are ultimately the best potential buyers for your business. You also want to make sure that it's in line with your promotional calendar. So again, the goal is to create a full plan that has just a nice synergy. Everything needs to play off of one another. And if you are running promotions throughout the year, maybe it's based on holidays, maybe you're a seasonal type of business, or you have times of the year that are just naturally busier, you really want to take that into account so that you can be talking about things that are related to those things at the time that it matters the most. So really figuring that out first. Are we going to do any promotions this year? Do we have anything that's planned? Have we done some in the past that have worked well for us? Do we want to do something different this year that we've never done before? If so, go ahead and get that on the calendar. Really make a commitment for those things. That's going to improve your marketing as a whole by helping you be better prepared, but it will also really help you align with your content goals. So the content topics to post, again, we're going to be covering that in detail, a specific system tomorrow, but we also want to know what content formats are we going to post in? Will it be video? Will it be audio? Will it be longer form articles? Will it be shorter posts? What is the content medium that our audience prefers? Or if they have a couple that they tend to all like, then what are we best set up as a business to be able to create best and most efficiently? You also want to know what platforms you're focusing on because content needs to be formatted differently for different platforms. It also is going to have some do's and don'ts, some specific technical things that you may need to do based on those platforms. And again, I would say that it's okay to be on a whole lot of different platforms. Most businesses are not going to be able to really get a foothold on all of the platforms unless you have a lot of resources at your disposal. So don't be afraid to focus on your top 2 platforms and really create your content for those platforms first, and you can use the repurposing plan on day 4 to try and get those on other platforms, knowing that you're not really putting in the time and energy required to grow your audience and your following everywhere. So make sure that the platforms you have either the largest audience or the most opportunity on, that those are really the platforms you have in mind when creating this content, because it does matter. And also, you're going to determine how frequently you can do these things. There is no right or wrong answer. It's most important to be consistent, but it also does depend in a lot of ways on the platform because they're kind of different do's and don'ts in terms of frequency for every individual platform. So these are the things that I really want you to ask yourself and to write down, dig in. And if you don't know the answer to one of these, don't just let it slide. You need to find this information if you want to have the most effective content marketing strategy possible. So if you do not have a strategy, you are not going to see the results that you want. This is not something that you should be winging. Truthfully, this is why most people don't see any results. They just hop on a social media platform or on their blog, or they record a video and they have no idea who they're speaking to. They have no idea what they're trying to accomplish from this piece of content. They don't know the offers they're putting out. They don't know the angles or the topics that their audience really wants to hear. And so they're just wasting their time. And most businesses, as a business owner or somebody who's working as a marketer for a business, you don't have that much time to waste. So stop spending time doing things that make you feel busy or productive when it comes to content, but are not actually going to help you. You really can get a lot more from 5 amazing pieces of content than you can from posting every day without really having it thought through and targeted for specific goals and types of buyers. You also are going to naturally be a lot more inconsistent if you don't have this plan in place. Even if you are winging it and you're doing it somewhat frequently, without a plan, it's very easy to stop doing it for a couple of weeks because, again, you don't really feel like you're gaining anything from it. So stopping for a few weeks, it doesn't feel like you're losing anything. But ultimately, it will really, decrease your momentum. It will create a disconnect in your audience, and you want to make sure the consistency is there. So having a plan, ultimately, it saves you time because you don't have to do it as frequently as you might think, but it will allow you to stay with that plan. I think we all know that if you've got something you're following, it's a lot easier to stick with it than if you have no real end in sight, no real outcome that you're looking for. You do, again, want to make sure that any specific piece of content that you're creating moving forward is tied in and aligned with a strategy. The next time you find yourself trying to create a piece of content, ask yourself, what is my goal? Where does this fall in my strategy? If you can't answer that, stop creating it and spend that time on your strategy instead of creating that piece of content. Most importantly, we really want to be able to track this. So tracking is what will give you confidence to create more because you'll see that it's actually helping your business. It's also going to show you where you should not be creating, and it'll show you the things that your audience does not like, that is not driving any type of tangible result. And that's time you could be spending focusing on things that will further your business goals and your revenue. You've got to make sure that your time, that your effort, that your energy, that your finances, that those things are going into something that actually matters for your business. So we do want to make sure that your buyer personas and your content messaging is something that we're really clear on. So every single business, you have most likely more than one product or service. And even if you only have one core product, you may have different variations of that product that are going to appeal to different types of people. Understanding who those people are is so important. Again, we want to create this plan with individual people or groups in mind that we already know have a tendency to lean towards certain products and services, or the messaging around those products and services needs to be different because of their goals, because of their desires, because of the things that they value most. So if you guys have not ever come up with a buyer personas list or a buyer avatar description, those are things that you need to really do first and foremost. So I will have the buyer personas worksheet that I'm going to post in the group for you guys. If you have not ever done one of those, now would be the time, because again, tomorrow when we go through our content topics, if you don't know who you're creating for, you're going to be scratching your head once again. Even if you have several sorry, even if you have several different groups of people, that's okay. Most businesses are you're going to end up with 2, 3, 4, 5 buyer personas. And there may be 1 or 2 that are going to be the best that you want to spend most of your time creating for, but you still want to have something for the rest of those buyer personas, the rest of those people in the audience that they are interested in what you do, even if it may not be the primary buyer for what you sell. So after you've done that, if you do not already have that in place, again, I am going to link that and upload that in the group. I'll also send that out in the homework for today. You need to know more concisely what your goals are. So even if you know your overall goals from your content in your business are to drive sales or generate appointments or get more inbound calls or sell more of a specific product and service, we also need to know specifically what the goals are for your individual pieces of content. So the first thing that I would look at is the consumption of that content. That means, how long are people watching? Not just how many views does something get, how long are they watching? Is this piece of content actually helping them? Is it actually connecting with them and engaging with them and giving them some information that they didn't have before? Are people reading it? How much time is spent on the site reading it if it's a blog? Are people really opening your emails? Are they clicking through your emails? You need to be able to measure consumption in whatever it is that you're creating. You also want to measure engagement. So cost per engagement is something that you can take a look at for certain pieces of content. You also want to look at comments. Comments is a much better indication of engagement than just likes. It's very easy to just scroll and tap something and not even really consume it. I think we all can take a look at our own social media activity, and sometimes you're just kind of mindlessly doing that. You want something where you're eliciting a response from the audience, where they are thinking about things or asking questions. And shares is a really great way to measure this as well, because if you've created a shareable piece of content, that content is going to live so much longer. It's going to spread so much farther than something that people just don't have any desire to share. You also could look at the messages or the responses received. So it might be email responses. It could be people DMing you on social media platforms, but you need to keep track of what's actually happening based on individual pieces of content. And that may sound really hard and time consuming, but it's not. It's also a lot easier than creating a lot of content that's never doing anything. So I would rather measure and spend a little bit of extra time. It's not that much extra time. And then save myself lots of time creating something that I don't need to create. I'd rather spend it on something that is going to really work. And without measuring these things, you're never going to know. And if you don't know, you're never going to see the actual benefits that a piece of content is having on your business. And then you may never use that piece of content again. You may never promote it. You may never repurpose it. You could literally walk away from something that really would help you because you simply don't see it. Also, your ability to segment the content. So again, if you have several different buyer personas or avatars, if you have several different products or services, you really need to ask yourself, what does this piece of content say about the person who's engaging with it? If you're too general and too broad, it may not say anything about them that you can actually utilize in your marketing. For instance, we'll keep using that soccer training example. So if I've got one video that's about the three main benefits of soccer on young women, how does soccer help young women and their self-esteem and their body image and all of those things? And then maybe you have another one that's talking about the development of hand-eye coordination and motor skills for that, that toddler or less than 5-year-old child that you kind of want to prime for when they're ready to actually enroll. If somebody is watching the female benefits video, we have a pretty good idea that they have a daughter or that they have, a young woman in their life that they care about enough to spend time watching this video. That's going to segment them to let us know which type of person they are when it comes to our products and our services and the offers we're going to want to put out. The other one is going to segment those parents with younger children who may be just thinking about getting them started in certain types of activities. That's what I mean by your ability to segment. So if the content you're producing does not tell you anything about the person who is going to be consuming it based on if they watch, if they click, if they read, if they respond, you should really be rethinking that. And again, we're going to go a lot deeper into the content topics, how to plan that out, how to map that out, and really how to create those topics very quickly. We'll do that tomorrow, but that is really something that you're going to want to look at. Results of your corresponding offer, the actual sales. So if you put this plan together correctly, and I will be sharing again resources throughout the week as we go that will help you map this out on a large scale, you want to know, okay, this is the offer or the promotion that we're focusing on over the next 3 months. These are the content pieces that we've created that we believe are going to benefit this offer. Now, after we've put those pieces of content out over time, we actually want to look back on the results and the sales of that specific offer and say, did we see any positive impact? Is there any increase? Do we see people who've opted in for this thing or watched this thing or engaged with this thing? Have they been buying the actual offer that we were hoping it would inspire them to purchase? So that's a great way to measure this. And then just awareness increases for the avatars that you want to target. So again, if female enrollment in the soccer coaching program is a goal, you would be able to see that there are more young girls that have enrolled, or you're going to know that there are more people talking about this in your community for young girls, or maybe you see more engagement online from mothers of daughters or fathers of daughters. So really looking at the demographics you're trying to reach and see if there's been any increase in those specific demographic groups, not just the corresponding offers, because sometimes you might have an offer that could apply to a lot of different demographics, but you do want to see if there's been an increase in the specific demos or avatars that you've initially mapped out for this content. So here are some initial ideas to get the ball rolling. So again, today it's really talking about the high-level strategy, why this is important, what you need to consider. Tomorrow, we go into those specific topics that we want to put together. We're going to talk about actually scheduling this out and planning this out. We'll then talk about how to create the actual content and repurpose it in a really efficient way. Then we're going to talk about how to actually monetize and analyze that content on day 5. So again, just want to make sure you remember that this is all part of the same process that we're going through this week. So you want to be present for every single day of this challenge. At bare minimum, you want to watch the replays in order. But these are some great tips and ideas to kind of jumpstart the inspiration and lead us into day 2 tomorrow. So we want to create an outline and jot down ideas that are just coming into your head right now. So based on the things I've been talking about, what are your ideas for avatars? You might want to go back and do the avatar worksheets later or the buyer persona workbook later. What are some initial ideas you're thinking of in terms of the offers or maybe the demos you want to target? Or maybe it's just specific things that you feel like your business could do well in terms of the types of content. So writing notes is a really great way to get your creative juices flowing. You may not even know how they all fit together or how they all tie together, but you can miss out on a lot of great content topics and ideas by simply not writing them down when they come into your head, because a lot of times inspiration strikes and then it's gone and you may not remember that again ever, or you might not remember it for a long time and you will not be working that in to your content plan. You also want to look at your competition. So that doesn't mean that your competition is doing things really well, and that's something you want to remember. This is not something that we want to just model off of someone else. We don't know if that other business has a content plan or a strategy, or if it's increasing their sales. We want to know that for ourselves, but we do want to look at what others are doing to see if, as a consumer, with our consumer hat on, is this something that I, as a consumer of my own product or service, would want to know? You can get great ideas from looking at other people's stuff. However, you always want to create it originally. You don't want to rip it off from somebody else. You want to put your own spin on it, and you want to use it in a way that's speaking to your specific audience and avatars. Also, look at different industry associations. What are the things that they're talking about with people in their group? So again, I've seen a lot of industry associations and organizations do content marketing really poorly. So that doesn't mean that, again, you want to take their ideas, but you want to look through everything and see if there's something that gets those ideas rolling in your own mind. Sometimes it could be looking at things and saying, no, that's not what I want to do. And sometimes you might say, hey, that's a really great direction to focus on that I never considered. So just doing that research is very important. You're not going to take it all into account, but it will show you what you like and what you dislike at a very high level. You also want to take an inventory of your own content that already exists. Do you have videos you've already created? Do you have blogs? What emails have you sent out in the past that are content-based? Look through your own social media profiles. Find the things that have gotten the highest engagement, that have gotten those views and those shares and those comments that have really potentially driven some interest in specific products, services, or offers. Look back through your email open rates and your click-through rates. Look at all those things. And most importantly, try and find a way to start organizing them. So we will, again, go a lot more into detail with this in day 4 when we talk about repurposing, but this is a great way to go ahead and kind of give you an idea of what you've got to work with as a starting point, maybe even to review for yourself and say, okay, this is where we started. These are the things I think we could do better. And maybe in a year, you're going to look back on those and compare it to your new content, and you'll be able to see a vast improvement. You also want to talk to your staff, the people who are engaging most closely with your customers or potential customers. What are the biggest questions they hear? What are the biggest objections that they hear? What are people reaching out about most specifically? What types of people do they talk to most frequently? Is there a certain group that tends to be the most interested or that tends to buy a lot quicker and easier than other groups? Those are the things that are super valuable insights when it comes to creating content. But if you're not seeking that out, you're probably not going to have that information volunteered to you. So make a point to really sit down, ask those questions, listen, write them down, and take them seriously, because they are very important and will make this process a lot easier for you. Talk to customers in the same way. Ask them, hey, before you started working with us or buying from us, what was your biggest question or concern or issue about maybe it's the topic related to what you sell, maybe it's the problem that you solve, or maybe it's specific to that product or service you're actually offering. But get their feedback, find out what they were struggling with, what they were hoping to find or learn, or what they were seeking out, what type of research they did on their own before they found you. Those things will lead you to a lot of amazing insights about what you need to be doing more of. And then just doing a survey. It could be a survey of staff, survey of leads, survey of existing customers. You could put those out through email, on your social media channels. And even if you don't get a million responses, some responses are better than no responses, and at least it's real feedback from people who are already in your audience. So hopefully they are the type of person who should be buying from you. So again, I know we've covered a lot of high-level details today, but this is definitely one list of things that I want you to take a look at. The other is to make sure that if you do not have buyer personas or avatars for your business that you know for sure you want to target, that you fill out those worksheets. So you should be able to go to the files section of the group and probably find those right now. Again, I will be sending those out if you registered for this challenge. But those are things that are going to serve you in a lot more ways than just your content marketing. If you do nothing but that one thing, should you not already have it, it's going to have a major impact on your marketing and sales if you actually take it seriously. So start just getting your buyer personas together, really look at your goals. What are your goals? What are the things that your business has the ability to do easily? What are the specific types of offers you would like to sell more of? Really start thinking about what the ideal outcome would be for you, because without that knowledge, you will have no way to measure this when we're done. You will have a very difficult time when it comes to creating content topics. You'll have a very difficult time justifying return on investment. So please make sure you do these steps. These are really not just recommendations for fun. If you've already got some of these, that's great. You don't have to do them again. It's always good to take another look, however. But if you have never done any of these things, it may feel like a lot of extra work, but it will make everything else we do easier, and it will serve you in a big way.